doing our bourbon tasting. My wife and I are traveling. We're in Branson. Yesterday we did one of these. We did one of these with Smith Creek Moonshine. And we had a lot of fun with that. And today we're at Copper Run Distillery.
Copper Run.
I'm sorry. Copper Run. I got to get that right. Copper Run. 102 Ps. So,
With 2 Ps, Copper Run like the copper coil in the old, the old style moonshiner stills, right? Yeah.
Well, this is Keith.
Yeah.
Got that right. But anyway, what's really cool is my wife and I, we drove out of Branson, and it was quite a drive to come out here. You know, it's not in the middle of a big touristy area. It's out of, it's out in the woods.
Right.
It's really cool. It's out in the woods, and it's a small little place. It's got a country look to it, which is really neat. Some barrels outside with big X's on them, and it's really cool. And I thought, yes, that's the place we got to stop with, pull over. And so they've got, what, today is your first day of bottling bourbon?
Right, so today is the first day of the release of our 3rd barrel of bourbon. So we do single barrel bourbons, and we age them for 3 years.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Yeah, we age them for 3 years. We don't do any blending, so every one is unique.
So you don't put all the barrels together?
We don't do, on the bourbons, we don't do any blending.
Okay.
Every barrel is its own unique batch. And we never know, you never know exactly how many bottles you're going to get.
Yeah.
And until you basically open it up and put it into bottles. And so we had a release today, which is our 3rd one. We've been doing one about every year. We hope to accelerate that.
The bourbon's gotten really, really popular.
A lot of people love it, but we're a craft distillery, so we've got a pretty small capacity, especially for bourbon. We are amping up our production of bourbon, but again, it takes several years before you can really bring that to market.
Well, I like that you're doing 3 years. A lot of them are doing just the 2. They actually call it bourbon. And some will do, I've seen they'll do smaller barrels and age it last.
Right.
But your charring level, what level of charring?
You brought up a great point. We do only the full size 55-gallon barrels.
Yeah.
All of our barrels come from Lebanon, Missouri, so we're sourcing things locally. Right, Missouri white oak, the whole story. We use a number 4 char.
Oh, that's the highest you go.
So that's we get some really deep color, and obviously great flavor. But what I always tell people is, I said, you can't put a bad product in a barrel and expect to get a good product out of it. It has to be a great product going in. And so every batch that goes through our distillery is tasted by one of our employees and one of our owners. So we do cuts of our heads and our tails on every batch. And if we don't like it, we throw it back and redistill it. So only the great stuff goes into the barrel, and that's another great sort of feature of what we do, and you can only do if you're a craft distillery. Is every batch is a little bit unique.
No, that's really cool. Did you get a drink, Jill? Cranberry lemonade soda. Okay, well that's good too, right?
And you mentioned that we're out here in the middle of nowhere, and it's a great rustic setting, and honestly, that was part of the appeal that brought my wife Lois and I here originally as customers, and of course the products were great, which is why we kept coming back. But we get people here. It's a tourist location, as you know. We get people here from all over the Midwest and really from foreign countries and that, but all over the Midwest. And people always ask me, you know, they come from Minnesota and say, how do I make great whiskey? And I'll tell them, well, the first thing you have to do is move to the Missouri Ozarks because the water here.
We passed Bear Creek. Is that Bear Creek?
Yeah.
On the way up here? Is that where you get your water?
So our water comes from the ground,
Okay.
right underneath the distillery.
Oh, okay.
We don't do any treatment of it. We don't do any filtering of it. You know, we filter our products, you know, but we don't do anything to the water. It comes right out of the ground. You know, the limestone filters it for us and adds, adds nutrients to it that are essential. So calcium and magnesium, which are essential nutrients to feed the yeast for the fermentation process. But the water has all of the elements that we need. So we don't do anything to it. We don't add anything to it. We don't take anything away from it. And you know, you can't do that just anywhere. You have to really be in certain places. And the Ozark Mountains of Missouri is fortunately one of those places.
Yeah, that's a lot of percentage of corn and.
So the bourbon, of course, is has to be at least 50% corn. Ours is in our bourbon is 60-70%, and the rest is barley and wheat.
Right.
Our whiskey is again about 50% corn, and then again barley and wheat. And the barley adds some good flavor. The wheat really is kind of a filler that sort of balances out, because you don't want too much sweetness or too much sort of bitterness, or spiciness from the barley. So
now, do you distill somewhere around here? Or?
So the entire operation is in the basement of this building.
Oh, okay.
So the distillery, our storage, all of our barrels, everything are right here in these like 1,500 square feet, footprint. And actually,
rural micro distillery.
so it's great for what we have now, but we're at full production capacity. I was just downstairs talking to my distiller, and within the next few months we're going to be at full capacity in our storage facility. So we're actually looking for a new place, not necessarily moving away from this spot, but certainly a new place to do storage, because we only have the ability to store about 80 barrels, which for a craft distillery is starting out, that's great, but that it's hard to pay the bills, on that kind of production.
So do you think you'll probably sell out of your bourbon before you get to the next batch?
So we are, when we first started this cycle, and this I bought the distillery about 2 years ago. The cycle really started with the previous owner, and the idea was that if we released one every year, that a single barrel would last at least half of that period in between, and so that would be something that you would sell through it, and there would be a period of time where people would be sort of anticipating the next one. Unfortunately, the reality is that the first two sold out in about 6 weeks, not the 6 months that we were anticipating.
Well, that's a good problem.
So,
but then it's like, I could be making some more money.
Right. Oh, and so obviously people love it. People drive, from far away. We had a gentleman when we did our last release who drove down from Nebraska just for the weekend to buy a whole case of our bourbon.
Wow.
And there's great demand, and of course, now the word is out and our brand is in pretty good shape. But even again for the bourbon now, the only place you can get it is here, and so people come from all around to get it.
Well, we probably need to do a taste. Taste some of your bourbon here.
So You gonna taste neat or on the rocks?
Neat.
Okay.
Yep. I usually like to taste neat, but we can go from there.
Yeah.
That way I have a good taste.
I typically, I do, for things that I'm trying for the very first time, of course, I taste it neat, because then you want to get, you really want to understand what the flavors are, you know.
Yeah, if it's a bourbon that I really like, then it's just, a bourbon glass with a big cube or a ball of ice.
So we have a nice ball maker.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, which we can tee up for you if you want to do that. But we'll give you a taste.
Right.
Irene, can you give us a? So give him a shot of that bourbon.
Okay. On a meat or on ice?
Neat. Yeah, we don't want to dilute it just yet. Oh, that's a full one.
That's okay.
That's okay. I'll get a good taste.
Right.
Yeah, I do have a designated driver.
Oh, she gave me back my lighter. I'm very impressed. I didn't think
Yeah, it's got you can smell the oaky and
Yeah.
Keith,
Yeah. Give me a little bit.
well, it's got a little heat, which is good.
Yeah.
You know, you get the I heard it call it Kentucky hug, you know, right there in your chest. But this is the Missouri Ozark hug, right?
So when we did the first barrel of bourbon about 2 years ago, we didn't know how to decide what proof, you know, to put it in the bottle at. And of course, our barrel proof is about 120.
Right.
You know, and so my wife Lois and I came down and I think Brandon was part of the tasting, who's our business manager, but I had the distiller tee up for us 5 different proofs, I think from 80 to 100, and just to do a blind, blind tasting, and we all tasted, you know, the different ones, and Lois said the 95 proof, that was the best.
That was right on.
And
So what this is here?
and that's what that is. And so, you know, we couldn't argue that that was the best. I was, I wasn't sure because a couple, they all tasted pretty good. But when she said 95 was the best, I couldn't argue that. So that's what we did on the first one.
Always go with the wife.
Hey, she's the boss.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how we came to the 95 proof. Which is just how, our standard now for the food.
So my favorite drink, of course, is the old fashioned. Yeah, if we're able to whip up a ball of ice and make an old fashioned, that would be awesome.
Can we make an old fashioned?
Most definitely. So what does it take to take one of those home? One of your Copper Run ice ball makers?
Well, I only have one of those.
Oh darn! Okay.
Actually,
You're not taking that one.
That was a.
What'd you say? $400?
Those are.
Oh, $1,200.
That one is. That's not a $1,200. But that was actually a gift from a business associate of mine. For when we bought the distillery, he gave that to me as a gift. He had it, had our logo,
Yeah,
put
there's
on it.
a few of those that have those in there that are really cool. And that's the way to do an old fashioned. That's the way to do it. Now, have you tried smoking?
Smoking? No.
Because I've had a few smoked old fashions, and those can be interesting.
So my wife. At the top of the rock.
Smoked Manhattan sounds really good.
It was, well, she can tell you, she's the expert.
I've seen it done so many different ways with the
So, Irene, you want some balls?
Oh,
I started drinking them here when they make them with, we make a homemade pomegranate syrup, bread and beans made pomegranate. So we make our own and we do that with our small batch whiskey.
Now, have you tried them? Do you like it stirred or shaken? Your Manhattan stirred? There's some people that they'll like them shaken. It's a little foamier, and it's yeah. But a true Manhattan is stirred.
There you go. Yeah. Good
Able
call.
to get that. If we can get this on our video of making the ice.
great to be on video.
Hopefully it hasn't refrozen.
I wonder if that'll see it right here.
I can see it.
Lower it down a little bit.
And do it.
Perfect.
Move it down.
Yeah, what is your biggest seller right now?
So,
Is it sell out of bourbon until it's all gone, until the next batch is ready to bottle?
so
I see you had a lot of rum. Sorry.
our small batch whiskey is our
Hi.
number
How are you
one
guys?
seller. That's our bread and butter.
Hey, let me show you kind of what we've got
It's
going on.
you know, it's kind of made in the bourbon
Hoping this
style.
ball
It's just not. We blend it so it's not all virgin barrel, you know, aged. But we blend it, and you know, it's aged about a year and a half on average. But you know, it's a really easy drinking whiskey. You can drink it just, you know, I like it just on the rocks. You can
Right.
put it in mixed drinks, but that's our flagship product, and we sell a lot of that. You know, that with the distributor, with the wide distribution, that's our by far our biggest product. Our malted barley whiskey does pretty. We do a pretty good job on that in terms of sales, and that's something that, you know, to me is sort of a, you know, it's mostly barley, but we mix some of our small batch whiskey into it.
Hi, boss.
So it doesn't have, it's not, you know, it's a little sweeter than a Scotch would be, and so in my mind it's a little more accessible by, you know, a broader, you know, audience, because a lot of people don't like Scotches, you know, because I mean it's a, you know, Scotches are a very particular, you know, flavor.
Now, other than here, where can a person buy a bottle of Copper Run whiskey or bourbon?
So unfortunately, we do not yet have distribution in Iowa, but really across Missouri and Illinois, we're in all the Schnuck stores, which is a pretty large grocery store chain. And you know, of course, we're in Total Wine stores. Around here, we're in Brown Derby's, we're in Macadoodles. So if you live in St. Louis or Kansas City,
Pretty easy, yeah.
pretty easy to get. That's right. Yeah.
But expanding all the time, right?
So we just recently expanded into Arkansas, and so I'm not sure exactly what outlets there are in Arkansas, because they don't sell spirits in grocery stores in Arkansas. You can only sell them in liquor stores. So
All right.
Kansas is like that.
right. So I'm a little less familiar with, you know, what all the outlets are going to be in Arkansas.
Iowa was that way, but back in the 80s or 90s.
80s.
The 80s they changed that and then it just
Well,
exploded.
it's open up now. So, and of course, you know, for distilled spirits, distribution is, you know, state by state, you have to get licensed. You know, each state's rules are a little, like, you know, as we were just discussing, the rules in each state are a little different.
All right.
You know, some are state stores, some are only, you know, only liquor stores and so forth.
So you're a young lady there, bartender. So you've got got our bourbon. It looks like you've got some muddled cherries and oranges.
Yes, you do. Some bitters.
Simple bitters, simple syrup or sugar.
A little bit.
You use like a sugar cube or just simple syrup?
Just simple. We make our own
Good,
rules.
good. Oh, and I like with the muddled oranges. It should have a good orangey flavor. And thanks for making the ice ball and everything.
You're very, very welcome. I hope you enjoy. It looks really pretty. I like it.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Oh gosh, that is a really good old fashioned in the Copper Run whiskey glass.
Are we excited?
Thank you so much for all your
Yeah,
time.
happy to do it.
Doing this.
Yeah,
Should I turn it off?
yeah. Hopefully your club will.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We will enjoy a night of some Copper Run bourbon. And I just want to say thanks for watching, and we'll probably be hitting up another place here soon in the next few days. We're heading further east into Tennessee. So thank you, Keith. I shake your hand, but we can't really, there you go. Can't really do that right now. But cheers.